This special 100th episode of the Stickers and Scuffs podcast has been presented in partnership with our good friends at JRS Auctions.
JRS Auctions is an online auction house that services Southern Ontario with its vast variety of fan cave-inspired treasures. We aren't kidding when we say treasures, as looking upon the hundreds of listed items will have you wishing you had a padlock on your wallet.
From die-cast to signs to gas pumps to Playboys, this upcoming JRS auction has something for every type of collector out there. The upcoming auction we want to tell you about runs from February 8th at 9 a.m. to February 12th at 2 p.m. Want a motorcycle, car, ATV, or even an excavator? This auction is for you.
What you want to do is register by going to jrsauctions.com and sign up, all for free. Then browse through the hundreds of lots favoriting yours along the way. When the clock hits 9 a.m. on February 8th, start your bidding. Best thing about this auction is it will tell you if you've been outbid, so you can keep at it until your treasure is won.
We want to thank JRS Auctions for supporting our 100th episode with Mario Andretti and for all they have done for the Oscar Hot Rod series.
You can follow the upcoming auctions for JRS by visiting their website or follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Hello, Stickers and Scuffs family. This is a very special moment for us. It's our 100th episode, and with 100 episodes comes a very special guest. I don't think we could give a big enough intro for the man that is in this conversation with us today. Mario Andretti joins us. Mario, thank you so much for taking some time and chatting with us today.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, because we are from the Great White North, we're going to have to start with a question about the Great White North and what is your fondest memories of Canada. I believe our buddy Rick Ingram provided that question to us, so we'd love to know.
Well, basically racing up there, up in Saint-Jovite, for instance, we raced Indy cars twice back in the late 60s. And 2 years I won both races, so that was a good getting. I raced in Mosport many times. I won there in Formula 5000. I raced in Formula 1, CanAm, stock cars. I even won a stock car race there. So, and they Lord and behold, they even named the back straightaway, the Andretti straightaway. So, I have. Again, I raced midgets up there way back in 1963. Toronto, of course.
Yeah.
We covered it. We covered the ground. Yes, and Air. Well, on the West Coast, that in where was it? Yeah, not on the West Coast. Yeah, I did that. Anyway, here we are.
I would love to hear more about the Can-Am cars. My late uncle was a mechanic for Roger McCaig on the number 55 car, the McLaren. And it would just be great to just hear some stories about those cars from someone who's driven them. From what I've heard, I mean, they were very loose in the rules in terms of horsepower and downforce and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, it was quite an open category. Not too many rules that were really, trying to restrict in any way engine aerodynamics, as you said. There was a lot of freedom in development of those cars, and that makes it pretty crazy, quite honestly, ultimately, because it seemed like the only really at the beginning factory effort was McLaren, and you could see that they would not sell current chassis to customers. I know that because I raced basically the Ford effort, and we could only get like 2-year-old chassis, and then actually, because of that freedom, then Porsche came on with Roger Penske and with the 917, I think, and that really killed it because the car was so superior, with the turbo engine, and nobody could really race with them. So again, it was a great series, very exciting in so many ways, but you could see it was dominated, but basically McLaren and then the Penske with basically Mark Donahue was, mostly, and but having the opportunity to race, I did, I never could do the full series because I was always, committed to either Indy cars or Formula One at the time, and there were many races that were conflicted, many dates. So I never did the whole season. I always did the sporadic events, but whatever I did, I think it was a lot of fun, driving Riverside, driving Laguna Seca, Mosport, and so on.
It's funny because you had mentioned before racing at Mosport, and you said that they named the back straightaway after you. How did that happen? Our buddy Wade Yarrow asked us about this, and I definitely want to know as well, because every time we go, we hear about the Andretti straightaway.
Well, again, I raced there so many years, and the organizers, I think the early owners of Mosport, was Dr. Fearing, I think, and we developed a great relationship between us, and for some reason, all of a sudden they said, we'd like to name the back straightaway after you. I said, great, that's nice. That's an honor, of course. So there we are. So I have a Canada. I probably have a purple card that I can come to Canada.
Absolutely.
I have a green card for the U.S.
Yeah, I think you'd have a permanent seat at CTMP anytime you come to Mosport. Yes,
absolutely.
I have many friends in Canada for sure.
Our good friend and a racer himself, Rick Spencer Walt, wants to know, Barrie Speedway is gone but not forgotten, but you got to rip a Dodge Viper around there, I hear, once upon a time.
Which Speedway?
Barrie Speedway. It was a little 3rd mile bull ring oval. It was fierce little. This would have been in the 90s. It
was probably a pace car there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, some of those events sometimes. It's again fun. I forgot too. I raced in Montreal. Actually, the very first Formula One race in Montreal. I was there as well. So, Barrie Speedway. So, is the car still smoking?
It's so good it knocked the Speedway down. We haven't seen it in a couple years. Oh man, it's amazing. Mario, one of the things that is great that you've kind of seen all different years of motorsports. So I'm very curious what your thoughts are about racing in 2023 and how healthy it is. There's lots of great talk about Formula One. Lots of talk of some interesting new potential teams coming into Formula One. Lots of coverage with the Netflix shows. So how different is it from when you first started?
Well, obviously, the sport has evolved throughout, the world. Really, motorsports is very international, as you all know, and everybody just, I think, at this point, the sport is really at a good place throughout. With all of the major series, it's very popular here in America. I mean, NASCAR, IndyCar. IMSA, the sports cars, and of course, as you mentioned, with the, I think we can give a lot of credit to the Netflix series Drive to Survive for really bringing a lot of awareness about Formula One, and you almost have an explosion, I think, of interest in Formula One, and that's why this year we're going to have 3 races here. And of course, with Canada, there are going to be 4 races. Well, let's bring Mexico in. There are going to be 5 races right here in North America. Yeah, that's good stuff. This is our sport. This is our life, and to see it, be so successful and gaining interest and popularity. I think it's great TV packages, obviously, which is important. So the audience is vast. It's wonderful, and so when our sport is out there, and gains popularity, we all love that. No question about it.
My sons are 12 and 14, and they are the biggest F1 fans around. And honestly, truthfully, I was a stock car guy, just in love with NASCAR. But because of my sons, it opened me up to F1 present and past eras. And one of our friends, also Brian West, he wants, of the era of F1 that you drove, is that where you felt like the most at home in a race car? Which one felt the most natural to you, or did you just adapt? And which?
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of just being with the right team, the right equipment, and getting all the setups, everything the way you want. Yeah, the race cars that I love to drive the most, obviously, are single seaters. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Open wheel single seater. That's the purest form of the sport. And between Indy cars and Formula One, what I love about Formula One is obviously they're much more nimble and lighter, and so on the road courses, I think they're more fun to drive because of that. The Indy car is more of it's a car that's built to be more versatile. It's heavier because it needs to be stronger because of the loadings, constant loadings of the super speedways and all that. So on the road courses, it's it's a little more of a handful. But overall, though, they all present that challenge that a driver is facing, and I welcome all of it. Quite honestly, I derive so much satisfaction out of experiencing all the different disciplines, with the different cars, and try to extract the maximum out of them, and not just to be there, but to try to win these races where it's not your specialty. And so again, that's why I did all that. It just was some of the, like I said, where I derive my ultimate satisfaction throughout. And I wouldn't change a thing from that respect. And the other part that I think, from my standpoint, just because, my opportunities came, through the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and all that. These were decades where a lot of great things were happening in a way of exploring so much of the unknown in the technical side of the cars, and to be part of it. Things were not as regulated as today, so you could always try to look for that something different, little niche, something that got you an advantage, perhaps. So whether it was true or not, at least you felt that you had that going for you. The discovery of how powerful like aerodynamics are and all of that sort of thing, and then creating aerodynamic downforce effect without frontal air penalty, with the ground effects and all that. It was part of all of it. The development of the race tires as we know it today. All these things were just fascinating, to say the least, throughout the decades, and see all the incredible improvement advances that we were making. So again, I think I probably have a little more appreciation for what we have today, having had the experience that I've had over those decades, and to see what it took to come to where we are today. And I feel so blessed about that. But, it just happened because because of my age. That's when I started racing, and it was, it was okay. I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Well,
I wouldn't trade that answer for it. That's the best answer to any question I've ever heard.
You said you wouldn't trade it for anything, but I'm curious. There is still a lot of different types of motorsport out there. You've done most of it. Is there one type of vehicle or one type of series that you wish you got to try that you just didn't have enough time to get to, or something that's popped up that's new that you would have loved to get in and try?
I don't know. I can't think of, I've never done rallying, but the closest thing that I did to that was the Pikes Peak Hill Climb. It's a rally race now, and I won that, But overall, quite honestly, I pretty much went everywhere that I really wanted to. And I look back, there are no regrets. I think I probably had more opportunity than I deserve, quite honestly. So in that respect, I can't think of what I missed out on, quite honestly. I really can't.
It's awesome to hear that, because obviously you don't get to see a ton of drivers that kind of do all different types of disciplines. And
I didn't race airplanes. Well,
maybe we have to try that, right?
Oh man, wheels on the ground. Like you can only
boats. Yeah. I race boats on my lake up here in the Poconos. A hydro that we can put around there flat out. Water the trees along the way.
Nice. The adage, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. You seem to really epitomize that. I mean, that has to contribute to the longevity. I mean, you've been relevant in motorsports for decades. Just talk about what it's like to get up and go to work every day. And you're driving so many different race cars. Just talk about how that is as being a professional race car driver and being so relevant for so many decades, sir.
That's basically that's realizing my dreams, really, because I never had a plan B in life. I said this a million times. Just to pursue something that seemed impossible at one point in my life because of circumstances and whatever, and then being able to just get into it and then and keep going, without any interruption to speak of. I really, again, going back to, I never worked a day in my life, mainly because I totally looked forward to doing my thing. And doing my thing, doing the one thing that I wanted more than anything, I was making a good living at. you know, can't get any better than that. So I had great support, you know, from my wife's family, which I had you know, an early family, you know, and we married quite young, and so there were many responsibilities, you know, that I had, and at the same time, you know, I was flat out, you know, on the road all the time, but with the wonderful lady that my wife on my side, you know, kept everything together, and again, I just. It never made me feel guilty because I was pursuing something, you know, that was, you know, basically selfish, if you will. But I just could not stay away from a race car, you know, more than a couple of weeks every year. You know, just on the off season, there was always something going on and that's it. And then there was, of course, a lot of testing also in those days. Because we're getting a new car every year and all that, so there was a lot of development, and that's what I wanted to do. You know, I could not get enough of it. And you know, a lot of people, even today, some drivers say, "Well, you know, how much time do you spend in the gym?" You know, I didn't have to be in the gym. I was in a cockpit all the time. I was doing exactly what I needed to do.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah. So again, it's a blessing, you know, in life, not just driving a race car, but if you can pursue something that you truly, truly love and make that as your profession, there's, to me, nothing better than that. That's something that, you know, anytime I can speak to some, you know, young people that sometimes they're looking for a direction, I said, just try to find something that really excites you, you know, and pursue that vigorously, because you know, there's so much satisfaction that you can derive from things that are actually worthwhile, you know.
Yes.
Don't succumb to you know, to being just mediocre. You know, it's there's not much going on in life to do that. Just try to raise above that level, you know, where things are really worthwhile happening in life, and it's extremely rewarding.
We couldn't agree more, right, Cam?
Yeah, I mean that's Mario. Why we're doing a podcast is because this is our end dream, and we love motorsports here in Canada. And it's not the favorite thing of most Canadians. We're more of a hockey country, but
I love hockey, man. Yeah, my publicist, Patty Reed, I think you were dealing with her as well, you know, and her husband is ex-hockey player, but he's also colorman for the Minnesota Wild. So, yeah, nice. That vigorously, you know, it's a great team, and we have fun. I in the last few years, I learned more about hockey. I think I could be a coach, because
I can't skate to save my life.
I'm a great armchair coach right now.
Not going to get out there and play though, eh, Mario?
No, just a coach.
So I guess the question is, who's crazier? Are hockey players crazier than race car drivers?
I think kind of pretty much parallels. You know, it's you know what I love to see when you got a team that comes together with the camaraderie. Sometimes, you know, I mean, you go out there, try to kill each other, you know, and then you have, you know, that type of thing. You know, contact sport, but it's you know, it's very fast. Things are just happening, reaction time, and all that. That's hockey is a great game. I love
it. Something that we do talk about with racers of all disciplines and racing levels and expert levels is that a lot of your competition in the garage would rather beat you fair and square than see you sitting out. We have so many people from outlaw midget sprint club cars to NASCAR Pinty Series cars, where teams will band together to help a broken car get out there on the track to at least see them take the green flag and have a fair shot at beating them fair and square. And it's just something the racing community has showed us time and again.
You're right. Absolutely. I mean, we bond in so many ways. Even, you know, there's fierce competition between teams and so forth. But if the one side is down for whatever reason, something happens, you're going to go out there and give them a hand, and because if they're even better than you want to go out there and prove that you can beat the best. There's always something to look forward to. Some of it, I think, is personal in a sense, but also you feel good about helping a competitor that's down, because sooner or later, it's going to be your turn to be down, and you know how important that is. So, yeah. I think the one thing that you find, again, in all sports, the community really comes together. You know why? Because we all know how hard you have to work, how hard you have to apply yourself to be able to excel and to be able to make a mark. And so nothing worthwhile comes easy. And because you know that we're working so hard, you have the appreciation for for your competitor as well. And that's a beautiful thing. I think that's the purest thing about sports that I've always loved. And just so, and I experienced all that because, as you said, no matter what discipline you go into, I feel at home when I go to a NASCAR race, because I raced not a lot, but I raced there and I got friends. I have friends there. We appreciate each other. We look forward to, shake each other's hand and so forth, and go to a Formula One race. I can go to a sports car race. I mean, I can walk the pits up and down in Le Mans, and probably 80% of the team, somebody that's with that team I worked with throughout my career, so it's a big happy family in so many ways. And so yeah. Sports are fantastic, for so many reasons like that, and I'm glad you brought that up, actually.
It's an honor to have you on the podcast with us to celebrate our 100th episode. And we're so completely honored that you took the time to be on here with us. We have obviously so many people that wanted to ask questions, but we don't want to take up too much of your time. So I want to thank you, Mario. I know this all started, I think we go back Graydon with Christmas cards every year, and I think that's how this all started.
Yeah, sir. I mean, your Christmas tree post every year on Twitter is how I kind of initially started talking with you and interacting, and I couldn't believe what was happening, honestly. And it's happened now every year for probably 10 years now, and that was long before stickers and scuffs was ever even a thought. And I kind of shoot, as my co-host right there says, shoot your shot. And I thought, hey, let's ask Mario Andretti if he wants to come on the show. And sir, I can't thank you enough for the time that not just now, but I mean for these 10 past Christmases and sharing that little interaction with me. And it's honestly one of the highlights of my year, sir. And it's an honor.
Well, thank you, Graydon. I guess we'll have to keep decorating those trees.
Yes, sir.
It's Mario Andretti on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. Thank you so much, Mario.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me again. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, sir.